Hello everybody, it's EzraTime here and welcome back to another review, and today we are going to be reviewing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which is a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. So obviously this is like a really hype sequel, I think a lot of people are really looking forward to this, and it's not surprising because the first movie is so much fun. It's probably one of the greatest Spider-Man movie I ever watched. It's just so much fun to see this many different characters for Spider-Man. And in fact, for me, the Spider-Verse movie is the first time I got introduced to Miles Morales, because I think I always thought that Spider-Man is like Peter Parker, which is like, yeah, that's like the main face for Spider-Man, the main character. And I didn't even know that Miles Morales exists, until I was into the Spider-Verse. I realized that, oh, like it was actually, there's another Spider-Man, and it was like, yeah, this movie makes me fall in love with the character. And then the sequel, of course, the Spider-Verse, man, makes me really appreciate his character even more, because let me just start with this, guys. This movie, first of all, is just insane. Like, it's just insane to watch this on theaters, like there's so many action sequences, there is so many I guess story, you could say, that drama, between the Spider-Man, because again, I feel like Spider-Man is one of the best superhero ever because he is, suffering. He is vulnerable. He lost several people in his life. And then obviously this movie focused on Spider-Verse, so we get to see a lot of that element here. And I really appreciate that this movie really slowed down and then took its time to really develop the story, introducing us to the character, like new character or like old characters, and it's like great stuff, man, because this movie is like 140 minutes long, and honestly I don't want it to end. Literally, I do not want it to end because I enjoy this movie so much. It's so much fun, this movie is, and yeah, I really just love the animation, because obviously now Into the Spider-Verse pretty much like set a new record or like a new standard for animation, so every single time you see like a new studio doing their own thing, like a really over the top or like stylish animation, you're always gonna go back to like, oh, like Spider-Verse, that's more Spider-Verse. Like I used to think that as well, because I feel like Spider-Verse is the first movie that I feel like animation can be really really stylish, and yeah, this movie is also again stylish like the first one, and I think it's even more stylish this time because you get to go to different multiverse, and then you met different Spider-Man, and then there is a different action sequences going on. There is some character that actually like 2D and stuff like that. Like it's great, so like every single universe has its own animation, and I think that's a great look for them because it's a multiverse, so of course the animation is going to be different. And yeah, as for the story itself, like I said before, Spider-Man, I think is this movie is actually much more serious than the first one does. And again, there is like a lot of time where they build the story, build the characters, which I did not expect at first because I did not watch any trailer for this movie. I was the first trailer that they released, and then that's it, and I didn't watch the rest of the trailer. I don't really pay attention to the further updates for this movie, like. And yeah, I think I'm glad I didn't do that, and I didn't do that because like I just came into the movie like expect like didn't see anything that much, and just be surprised, by the movie itself, and yeah, I really appreciate they are doing their slowing down the pacing, and then building up the characters, because I think the characters, because of that, it became much more likable, and then you understand their position, especially Miles, family that I really care for, his parent as well, I really hope they are surviving in the third movie maybe, but yeah, I really appreciate that they actually do that, and then also really appreciate that they decide to adapt a much more mature storyline, because this is like a PG movie, but it's really rare this time. I feel like if you see in a PG movie, usually they just like cater towards kids, but in this movie, it's like, oh yeah, this is a Spider-Man movie, and Spider-Man movie always have some mature themes that you can actually relate to Spider-Man, relate to the character around Spider-Man, that you kind of want them to just like, have a peaceful life, and this movie really succeeded on doing that, and on top of that, the action sequences is amazing. I think there is like several action sequences that kind of remind me of John Wick, and what I meant by that is that the action sequences, when it happened, it goes on for so long, and then again, maybe it's not that long, but it feels long to me, and I'm not complaining, because again, the animation is stylish, and then you got different Spider-Mans doing like different powers and stuff like that. You got different villains, on every single dimension. You got Spot, which is the main villain for this movie that, or kind of the main villain, because he has like several scenes that, like I'm pretty sure he's gonna be a big villain for the third movie, But for this one, when they are doing a fight scene with him, I thought it was fun, Like they're doing really creative stuff, with the fight scene, like Spider-Man is doing different powers and stuff like that, So that's why, even though the action sequences felt long, it's also really really fun, And I actually do not want it to end. I was like, oh my god, it's still going. Like holy shit, this is amazing, And that's how the entire movie. I That's how I felt for the entire movie, Like I just wanted the movie to keep on going because I enjoyed this so much, And yeah, I for the first time, the theaters, in my theaters is like it's packed, it's full of people, and I was like, wow, okay. Like I never seen my theater so packed until maybe like Avengers Endgame, previously, where I was like, yeah, it's so full of people, but now it's like Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and then there is like so many people that wanted to watch this movie, and that makes me happy, man. I'm glad that, because when you watch a movie with a bunch of people, to me, it's so much fun, and clearly this movie has a lasting impact on so many people. You can clearly tell that. And yeah, I'm really glad that this movie will be successful, and we're gonna get a third Spider-Man movie, obviously, called Beyond the Spider-Verse. That is definitely gonna be released on 2024, right? March 2024, I think. And yeah, I cannot wait to see that movie, because obviously this is like a two-parter movie. It's like Infinity War and then Endgame, and that's also another great stuff about Across the Spider-Verse, that it kind of felt like Infinity War in some way, because Fast and Furious 10 kind of trying to do that, but it's just not really that good in my opinion. But this movie like makes me take me back to the Infinity War, era, basically where that movie and you were like, oh my god, where they gonna go, like how are they gonna defeat Thanos and stuff like that, right? And this one, I was like, oh my god, like what is Miles is going to do, man? Like this is insane, what is gonna happen, And it's like it's exciting, to wait for the third movie, and I'm really glad that it was gonna be released next year. And yeah, it's just great stuff, man. Like takes me back to the old day of the MCU in some way, where they're actually good, and I'm actually really hyped for them, So yeah, great stuff for that, Also, the musical score is also amazing. I think the music is done by Daniel Pemberton, I think, and like the music really elevates the scene a lot, like when the action sequence is happening and then when the emotional scene is happening, it's really amazing, because I feel like you got the rock like hip hop music, in this movie, because like this is like a Miles Morales movie, right? That's his style, and yeah, it really works for the movie itself, And I remember like several scenes from the theaters that, or like from the movie, sorry, where there is just like not much going on. Like it's just like Spider-Man swinging around, try to catch up time basically, and there is just this musical score going on in the background that makes it really exciting to see, even though there is not action going on. It's just like, again, it's just Spider-Man swinging around, but the music really elevates that scene a lot, and especially when the action sequences is happening for a long time, the music is also really helping that, So great job on that musical department, by Daniel Pemberton. I really like it, And yeah, I highly recommend you guys to go watch it if you haven't already. If you guys are a fan for the first movie, I think you guys are going to love this movie even more, because again, there's just so much going on, but it's pretty easy to follow. The story is pretty easy to follow, and then there is a bunch of cameo that I did not expect to see that kind of cameo in this movie, And I'm not gonna spoil it, but there is some cameo that I was like, oh, like they kind of like tease this in a Spider-Man movie, but that never actually go anywhere, and I don't think it's never gonna go anywhere in the first place. But they're really teasing that cameo here, and I was like, oh, oh, they're actually doing it. Okay, like okay, that is something, I guess. So that's great news. We might get something, in maybe the next Spider-Man movie. Who knows, But yeah, this movie, I one last thing, I don't. This movie is not exactly built around fan service, and I think that is some fan service in this movie, but they are really telling their own story, like it was the main focus, Miles Morales is the main focus, it's his storyline, and I think they did a great job for that, because when they are doing references, that you're gonna laugh, you're gonna smile, and you're gonna have some fun time, but this movie doesn't really build around fan service only, there are actually story, there are actually stakes, And again, the cliffhanger is amazing that I just cannot wait for the third one. And there is a huge twist in the end that I did not see it coming, and I was like, oh wow, this is insane. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense why that happened. I was like, oh my god, which again led to the ending. I was like, okay, how is Miles is going to get out of this, and what is Gwen is going to do, and it's like, yeah, I'm really excited for Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. I think it's gonna be the final one maybe, or they're gonna do like a fourth one. Who knows? I hope they keep continuing making this movie because it's just such an amazing movie. It's the longest movie ever, I think, for the animated series, which is insane. But I'm glad it was that long, because again, there's just so many characters that they're built here. So I think it's really well earned. I think the runtime is well earned that you just don't want to end. You just want the movie to keep continuing. But sadly, this is just part one. So there's gonna be part two next year. So there's that. Yeah, if I have to give this movie a rating, then this movie's gonna get a 10 out of 10 for me, man. I really really love it. I think the only minor complaint that I had that they kind of like recap the first movie twice, and I was like, okay, like I get it. I get it when you have to do a recap once, but like they did it twice. But again, it's a nitpick. So there's that. There's not much complaint about this movie. I think it's a perfect Spider-Man movie, and cannot wait for the third one. So let me know in the comment section below, guys. What do you guys think about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse? Do you guys think this is better than the first one, or do you guys think that the first one is way better than this one? Are you guys hyped for Beyond the Spider-Verse? I know I am. Let me know about that in the comment section below. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this review, then leave a like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, the usual stuff, guys. And again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Then, bye.